I'm speaking with David Lozovsky. David, thank you. Can you tell me a little bit about what you do at Walklight Media?
So Walklight Media specializes in the sustainability space within digital. We represent about 80 to 90% of the premium sustainability content sites, everything covering from the environment, organic food and clothing, to clean tech, alternative energy. And we reach an audience what we call the conscientious consumer. These aren't, the tree huggers of yesteryear, if you will, that are composting in their kitchens. These are people like you and I who are trying to drive high MPG vehicles. We are trying to recycle. We're trying to give back in our communities, because there's a lot of ancillary benefits that come from doing good, whether it be overtly, I'm doing great and I want to get positive feedback from it, or if it's just that, intrinsic, I get value out of being a good person, or you want to drive a high MPG vehicle because gas is $4 a gallon, so it all makes good business sense today.
Sure. What are the hot spots? What's resonating with consumers?
Well, one of the things we found is that knowing a company is mindful of its impact on the environment and society at large makes them 60% more likely to buy the product, 57% more likely to be loyal, 52% more likely to recommend it to family and friends. I mean, we know the difficulties and the costs associated with acquiring new customers, and retaining existing customers is often overlooked when we go out there and we make these mass scalable campaigns that we talk about. So, we think that talking about the corporate as well as the brand and about their good works in the community is going to have repercussions that will have residual effects. It's not going to be a direct response where, $1 on advertising about sustainability is going to translate to $1.20 in sales. Yeah. But if you look much longer term than that, we think we're in it for a long haul here. It's a marathon and not a sprint. Sure. And that's what we feel.
What's the main question you wish that brands or companies would ask you?
I'd love for them to inquire more about the audience and why we think that, our audience is a good fit for them. A lot of brands are scared of green, because most brands, or few brands, are green in any way, which is why we talk about the conscientious consumer, and that's a really great way of framing it. So I wish they try to understand the audience and what drives them. I mean, these are affluent, influential individuals with families, so they have tremendous affinities and behaviors that go beyond just recycling and driving hybrid vehicles.
Sure. What's the main lesson that you've gleaned over this last year as you've worked in this industry?
The lesson I've learned is that if you're just in the business of slinging banners, your days are numbered. We feel that the content engagement platform that we as a company are developing, and we're proud to actually start working with this with UPS next month on their We Love Logistics initiative.
Oh, great.
And UPS is really one of the first ones to see the value and to buy in and, if you will, drink the Kool-Aid on what we do as a company. So we're really excited about this campaign for next month. And I think it's actually going to show a lot of other brands what they should and could be doing. So UPS is certainly, I think, a leader within their own right.
Well, that sounds like a great fit, because they're so heavy into logistics. We see their trucks all over the place. If we also then think along their brand of sustainability alongside that, that's very smart for UPS.
They actually just in the state of California acquired 100 electric vehicles, cool. Which is allowing them to take a load of old diesel trucks off the road, and diesel is still a better alternative than a regular fossil fuel. But they're, again, like I say, brand safe is a low bar. UPS says diesel is a low bar. Let's set the bar higher. Sure. Let's do more. And one of the things that they're doing is part of the money that you spend on packaging and on delivery and parcel services, they take maybe 5 cents or something, and it offsets your carbon emissions as a company.
Sure.
So they're really doing some great works, and I think a lot of brands need to recognize what they're doing and in their supply chain management and their sustainability initiatives, and I think it's a lot of lessons to be learned from them.
Oh, I love it. Tell me just a couple of the other clients that you're working with. What kind of campaigns are you doing?
We do really well with continuing education. University of Maryland, they have an environmental degree program. We're also working right now with Home Depot in Canada, where we're both in the U.S. and Vancouver. We have a New York and a Vancouver office. So we're working with Home Depot across the Canadian market, and it's a really successful campaign. And I'd love to see more work with Home Depot in the U.S. because they're, as a company, what we do is, it's interesting. For every banner ad we serve, we save an equal area of forest on behalf of the advertiser.
Interesting.
And it's pixel for pixel. So if you see a 300 by 250, you take that and you frame it and put it on the floor, and that much forest floor is saved. And it's about 800,000 impressions, equates to about saving an acre of land.
Oh, that's great.
And that's just something, that's not a value add, it's not a line item, it's something as a company mired in sustainability.
Yep.
It's us, saying we have a horse in this race too, and we're going to give back. You don't want us to talk about it, that's fine, then we'll do it on our own behalf.
Cool.
But regardless, we're going to give back to the communities.
Okay, forecast with me. Look at about a year or two. What do companies need to know? How do they need to navigate this?
I think it's going to be key to work closely, as close as possible with the audiences. We started out as a vertical ad network, but we're developing new technologies that's rolling out, and that's partly what I'm touching on, our content engagement platform. We're going to allow brands to get into a direct dialogue with the audience, as close as you could possibly get because of our close ties with our publishers.
Sure.
So we're pushing the envelope, and we want brands to understand that, you're not so removed. I mean, I've seen Terrence Kawaja's from Luma Partners, that map of the ecosystem, how you have, you got the brand over here, and then way over on the right, you got the audience, and between them, you have these 50, 200, 300, 400 different companies, from
Sure.
data to media to creative. And we're actually thinking that, all those parties need to be involved in one conversation. So there needs to be streamlining, consolidation, but companies like ours that realize that, media is just not enough, they need to be able to have enriching, engaging conversations. We're allowing the brands to get as close as possible to the consumer.
Yep.
And I see that's where the marketplace is going. And there's a lot of thought leaders are talking about it. And we think, our technology that is actually going to be vertical agnostic, and it's rolling out in the next couple of months. We think it's actually a big step in that direction.
Cool.
So hopefully next year, maybe I'll be on stage talking about it.
Oh, we'd love to hear more. And just for my own clarification, are you guys hitting all the platforms, and you're doing mobile and video and a little of everything?
We're actually, we're testing the waters with video.
Yep.
We're looking to the future for mobile. Mobile, unfortunately, is still a small share of the marketplace.
Sure.
And with the proliferation of all our tablets, a lot of mobile pages are no longer the way to go. It's in app, or on my iPad. All the ads are the same to me as on my laptop.
Sure.
So mobile is evolving, and it's at a tipping point right now. So it'd be interesting to see the way that mobile goes. I think all of it is going to become one platform, one ecosystem. I mean, today we say social media, right? But we don't say color television anymore, right? So, in a couple of years, we're not going to be saying social media, just like we don't say color television. It's all media.
Yep.
So is mobile, so is video. And it's about engagement, it's about enriching the consumer, it's about that value exchange.
Yeah.
And if we're not going to give value to the consumer, then they're not going to patronize our brands, they're not going to engage with our creative. And I think when I say creative, I think really that's where we need to look to again. I recently started watching Mad Men. I was not from the beginning follower, but I'm a big addict, and I'm a big Don Draper guys, and I love to see the creative process,
Sure.
Especially being so far removed as I work on the sell side, dealing with publishers and with media. I'd love to see creative start pushing the envelope, and I see a resurgence in that. I think people are recognizing the power of creative, and that's why a lot of independent shops that are not, weighed down with bureaucracy are thinking outside of the box and coming up with innovative ways of engaging the consumer.
I agree. Even with the tool sets changing, people will always be drawn to interesting ideas and interesting storylines, and so I think creative is key.
Right. Yeah, I'd love to see more and more exciting creative. I mean, that's what really, moves the needle, I think.
Cool. David, thank you very much.